Once upon a time, in a far-off land, there was a great philosopher named Friedrich Nietzsche. He was a brilliant thinker who challenged many traditional beliefs and ideas of his time, including the existence of God. Nietzsche believed that God was dead, not in a literal sense, but as a metaphor for the decline of religious beliefs and values in modern society. He believed that humans had outgrown the need for God, and that the concept of God was no longer relevant in the modern world. The story begins with a young man named Max, who was a devout believer in God. Max lived in a small village where everyone was deeply religious, and the church played a central role in their daily lives. Max was a firm believer in the teachings of his faith, and he believed that God was the ultimate source of all goodness and morality in the world. One day Max heard about the writings of Nietzsche, and he became curious about this philosopher who challenged the very foundations of his beliefs. Max decided to read Nietzsche's books and learn more about his ideas. As Max delved deeper into Nietzsche's writings, he began to question his faith. Nietzsche's philosophy was both fascinating and challenging, and Max found himself drawn to his ideas. Max realized that Nietzsche was right. God was no longer relevant in the modern world. Max struggled to come to terms with this realization and was torn between his old beliefs and the new ideas that Nietzsche had presented to him. Max decided to seek out Nietzsche and discuss his ideas with him. He traveled to the philosopher's home, where he was greeted warmly by Nietzsche. Max expressed his doubts about his faith and asked Nietzsche to explain his philosophy in more detail. Nietzsche explained that he believed that God was a creation of human imagination and that humans had outgrown the need for such an idea. He argued that humans had become too rational and scientific to rely on faith alone, and that the concept of God was no longer necessary in the modern world. Max was fascinated by Nietzsche's ideas, but was still unsure if he could fully embrace them. Nietzsche suggested that Max should spend some time in solitude to reflect on his beliefs and find his own path in life. Max spent several weeks alone in a cabin in the woods, reflecting on Nietzsche's philosophy and his own beliefs. As he sat by the fire, Max realized that Nietzsche was right. He had outgrown his faith, and the concept of God was no longer relevant to him. Max felt a sense of liberation and freedom that he had never experienced before. When Max returned to his village, he was a changed man. He no longer felt the need to attend church or follow the teachings of his faith. He had found a new sense of purpose and meaning in life, one that was based on his own beliefs and values. Max's newfound freedom and independence were not without challenges. The villagers were deeply suspicious of his new ideas and beliefs, and many ostracized him for his rejection of God. Max realized that he was not alone in his beliefs, and that many others in the world were also questioning the relevance of God in modern society. Max continued to read Nietzsche's writings and became a firm believer in his philosophy. He realized that the concept of God was not necessary for morality, and that humans could find their own sense of purpose and meaning in life without the need for religion. In the end, Max's journey of self-discovery and enlightenment led him to embrace Nietzsche's philosophy fully. He realized that the concept of God was a relic of the past and that humans had the power to create their own destiny. Max became a leading voice in the movement to reject religious beliefs and embrace a new philosophy based on reason and science. And so, the story of Max and Nietzsche's philosophy of the death of God comes to an end. It is a story,